everybody. Welcome to the Unfleshed podcast. And we have a very special guest for you all today, all the way from the UK, Mr. Rob Shepard. Thank you for coming on board.
Thanks, man. Thanks for asking me.
Very welcome. All right, well, let's get started on this. Want to know, as far as why you chose to write in the particular field that and genre that you started writing in.
I think partly I've been a horror fan for forever, since I can remember, really, growing up on Hammer films and since I was young I was always reading things like Poe and Charles Dickens and things like that, people that you don't realise at the time but have a big influence on you. So it come later on, it's one of those things that you suddenly discover that you really quite enjoy something. I was always writing stories and good things, but never showing them to anyone. But then a number of years ago, just long ago it is now, I was on MySpace, and I put a couple of bits up, and a few friends were encouraging about it and said, no, you should really give more of this go, write more. So I thought, okay, and started working on what little bits and pieces I had saved, and it just went from there. And I say horror's always been with me. Although I write in different genres, horror's always been there. It's always lurking in the background. So I always end up writing something, or always have some sort of evil twist to it. Whether it's mental or not, I always seem to have put a twist on something.
I'm a big fan of twist. Speaking of that, I'm really down to actually sit down and read your is the Grey's Anatomy. I've actually heard a lot about that one.
Been able to get a few more reviews, but what I've got is quite encouraging, so I'll take that every day.
Well, and you actually had sent me that the PDF of that book, and then my old laptop died out on me, and I had to buy another laptop, so I kind of got, I got screwed myself on that one.
I can always sort out another one.
I'll definitely check into it.
I'm definitely going to just go ahead and purchase a book is what I'm going to do after this interview is done, because I believe in doing stuff like that. Authors support authors and what have you. So, and I'm very curious anyway, especially since you mentioned you have twists. I happen to like writers who have twists. So, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and I am very curious, Rob. Before I purchase a book, can you share a little bit of your current work with us, if you are writing another book or currently doing so?
I can do. I've got one that I'll just say that I'm just writing at the moment. I can give you a little. Actually, I'm not sure which part you want to see because it's quite a long intro, to be honest.
But you are still, so you are working on another book.
Yeah, I'm working on. I've got a couple of books out with the dog. If you heard that, that's not dog going to Schizoid again. I've got a few books at the moment. I'm waiting on a couple to actually come out on release. Got a few delays in terms of publishing. So just waiting for those, but I'm working on a few others, mostly at the same time. A bit of wife from just talking the same way. But I've got one working on at the moment, which is currently working title is Dead or Alive. I've got something started on the computer. I don't know if you can see it, but that's the notebook that I'm working from. which is all I've got. I've handwritten bits and pieces in there.
Oh,
It's about 20 odd thousand words in at the moment, mainly because I've been self-editing as I go along. I'm writing what's happened. Adding and taking away at the moment, so that's currently in the works. I've got a couple of others that I'm working on at the same time, so I've got looking at some more short stories coming out eventually.
and to elaborate on that real quick, Rob. So because I'm going to pick your brain a little bit. Is that normally what you do? You handwrite in a notebook?
Originally, that's how I started. You just grabbing a piece of paper, writing an idea down, and then I'll go home, I'll type it out, and at the start it'll be just short stories that are coming out. It's just when it starts, and almost basically start to finish. But for a while, I was just literally writing on the computer, and I was getting more and more blocked because it was really sucking the creative juices from me. So I went, you know what, with this one, I stopped and I would go back and I started writing bits and pieces, letting things ferment in my head. And then I was bringing them out on the paper and I thought, no, this is the way it's going to be. And so I just got myself another notebook, and every time I come down, I think, right, I'll come into the office, I'll put something on whether it be music or a video or something, I'll put my feet up, and I'll just look over what I've done, see where I want to go with it, and start writing it up in the notebook. Because it's easy to do it there, and then I can just type it up and edit it, and then send it off to publish who can edit more and tell me where it needs to change.
Wow, that's impressive. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, that's very awesome. I've got my whiteboards, and that's kind of what I do. Except, I do type up everything that I've got, but I always start everything on my whiteboards. And then, anyways, once I gonna get something started, then I'll go to writing it. And then if I start getting to where it's kind of lacking, then I'll go back to the whiteboard and I'll start breaking it down and put all my ideas into like each chapter that I'm doing. So I think that's really neat that you do that.
Here I am on post-it notes. That's what I do.
I put writing on everything. I mean, if I was to show you my walls, you'd be like, what the hell is going on there? It looks like a serial killer's crime. I've just got notes up on the wall everywhere, stuck up with blue tack, and without you saying, right, it's sort of got all sorts of types showing up, and people just literally think they're going to stung me there and think we've got some kind of Hannibal Lecter or Buffalo Bill going on here. It's just awful stuff going on in there, but it's just once I've got through certain ones and I'm in that right frame of mind, I can pull one down and go, right, I'm going to start working on this. So, but I need something, I've got promise. I'll stick them up, I'll make a note of them and I'll stick them up on my wall, and so I can look at them each time. I can see whether I'm at the right time to start working on them or not. But it's all over the place at the moment. I've got notes everywhere. I've even got notes on my desk as it stands. In other words, I've got to start. You can see there's more pieces all over the place. These are all stuff I've got to start, and I've got another one there. This is going to be a short story. That's basically just a few leads of 1, 2, and that's basically kind of part of a short story. My stories never seemed. I always think I had 2,000-3,000 words short story. Everybody does. Most people do that. Put my phone down here. And my short stories never seem to end in 2,000-3,000 words. I'm now on about 7,000 on this short story. I go, oh yeah, that's a short story apparently.
Interesting.
Well, here I got a question kind of inside of a question for you. Is there a question that you wish someone would ask about your book that no one has?
I don't know if there's this question I'd like to ask. I'm always happy for any questions. I'll just answer a question, please, answer a question. I'm always happy to answer a question, I don't care what it is. I've been looking at starting up doing a little YouTube blog where people just fire random questions out to me. I'm going to get the camera to record.
Well, I mean,
I'll just answer it for them, but they've got a number of questions that people have asked me, and I'm still stewing on them, finding what the answer is. But I'll answer any question really. I'm happy to read it.
I mean, by
I'll answer it.
well, by that I mean kind of like, is there like a certain question that like nobody asked, but it's the one question that if they did ask, it would probably have a better understanding of your work.
I don't know. I mean, most of the questions I've been asked is where do you get your inspiration? Well, for me, it's pretty much everywhere. But if you're asking who inspires me, then that's another quite common one. Who inspires you in your work? But I mean, basically, that I've taken as the three people. Same old three people I'll only ever answer. Charles Dickens, Poe, Clive Barker. They're the three people that always inspire me. They're the people that I've always got an eye on saying, if I can reach a point where I'm even like a tenth or a hundredth as good as they are at getting the words out the page and the stories out, then I'll be happy with that. So that's my inspiration for those. But as I say, there's not many questions that I've not been asked that I'd like people to ask.
Here's one I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna this be more of a question that TJ would probably ask because he's kind of more of the asshole. But I'm just being curious here. Have you ever hated something you wrote? Like reflecting back on it?
Like I've actually kept. Because I've made a few things and just chucked them away. There's a point which if it can be worked into something else, I don't like it, but I think it could work as a section in another story or another book, I'll keep it. If I can't see any promise for it, even inside something else, then I'll just get rid of it. There's no point holding on to something that's never going to feel right. And if it doesn't feel right in the first instance, if you can't look at it and see what you originally saw in it, it's probably not worth working on. You can't feel that, as far as I'm concerned. You always have that gut instinct. You can see, when you come back to notes in your book, that you can still see what you saw in it, in the original idea, then it's worth keeping. But if you can't see that, as far as I'm concerned, just don't go with it, because you're never going to be happy with the result.
I can definitely agree with that. All right. Let's see here. What's some references that you use while doing researches on the books that you're putting out?
I don't know. Not many preferences in terms of research. I tend to like to just let things set in my mind and see how they could work in realistic terms, and then just think about it in a real world situation, how that situation will work in the real world. But there are things, a couple of things where working on what could cause certain conditions, or the possibility of something to manufactured, then I'll go and look at the research and see. For example, if you was working on like a chemical or something that could cause a reaction. And depending on what you want that reaction to be, I'll do research looking at seeing what chemicals do what, and just typing in on phrases in Google, just Googling it and seeing what comes up. You know, big ones, there's chemicals out there that do cause like a zombie-like reaction in people in slightly different ways. So it was researching in that way, seeing what chemicals do what, and whether you can use that as a possible piece of work, possible feature in story, an explanation or something. But I don't tend to like to research too much because I'll just get bogged down in research and not actually achieve anything. So I'll just look loosely and then just go with it. And at the end of the day, I tend to like writing without too much researching because it feels more natural to have it. So most people aren't going to have a exhaustive knowledge of things, so they're going to wonder most of the time. They're going to be wondering what the fuck's going on. So I tend to write even though a lot of the work might be in third person, I'm still writing in a first person. So I'm thinking as the character and reacting as the character and just seeing how it goes that way. Rather than, because otherwise, as I say, I'll get to bog down in research and not achieve anything with it. I'll just know that's there in the background and it will help me later on. Not use it too much, otherwise I'll just get lost.
I have to agree with you on that, Rob. As I write myself, same with TJ Weeks. I have to absolutely condone you on that because that's absolutely how I feel. I mean, it's so easy to get lost when you're in the mood to write, or if you're writing and you've got the characters and you've got the storyline, everything going. If you start going out branching and researching and this and that, yeah. So thanks for sharing that because you make me feel like I'm not alone in that. So.
Writing on the fly, as they say, I don't have a plan for anything. I just have an idea, get the notes down, and then I'll start working on it. I can't write structure. We've got all the plots and the characters and the summations and everything all in sections up the board. I see so many posts up on Facebook about, the people have got these boards up and everything's in a place and how the plot's going and characterisation, all that. No, that just comes to it. All my characterisation is as I write it. It's not up there on the board structured because I'll spend more time writing up this structure and wonder what the story was about in the first place. So I'll just write it, let it have its way.
Absolutely.
Well, with that being said, I mean, if you don't base it off research, would you say actually that your writing's based off a lot of reality?
In a sense, yeah, I think the reaction to the situations would be natural. I tend to think how I would react in these situations all the time. And so, if it's a young girl, I think to myself, right, okay, I'm 12 years old, this has happened, what's my first reaction? So I'll think about that and then, that's how I'll go rather than go too in depth with research and everything. I'll put myself in a position and then do it because I think reality, you can get an idea of what reality would be like if you just literally, no matter what the character is, stick yourself in that position. And then you're just thinking about how the world around you is going to work, in that situation, how the people around you are going to react, what they're going to do. You've got a great idea of the people in the street and what they do and how they react in every day. So you get an idea of how they react in any given situation that you invent. So that's how I tend to work. I just stick myself in a position and then see how it goes, because I know from my perspective, my reality is only ever going to be pretty similar to everybody else's situation. Everybody's got to, everybody's living somewhere with a family or whatever. So most people's situations are going to be fairly similar to a point. So you're going to be able to relate to it.
What do you think, Rob, most characterizes your writing? Like, like just basically that. What characterizes your writing, your style? What do you want to bring to the readers?
Oh, the question that's the one question that I've always struggled with is people asking, "What's your style?" And like, my style is what it is, basically, because I don't. If I've got an idea for a story, I'll just go with it. If it ends up being horror, it ends up being horror. If it ends up being a drama, it ends up being a drama. It's just the way it goes with me. I think the most common character from my writing would be, I think probably the twists. There's always a twist somewhere that you don't see something coming. So that's kind of common theme with me. I like descriptive story, but I like you two, Jay. I can't stand too much description. If you're describing something down to the shape of a blade of grass, then you've got lost. There's no point. I like to, when I describe things in my books, I will describe as much as it takes to get you in that scene, as much as it takes for you to to actually smell the smells and hear the things that are in the story, actually hear them in your head and things like that. As long as I get that, then that's what I'm aiming for. I don't want to over describe things, so I'm trying to keep it. That's why, so the stories might not be as long or as many people. I like to be descriptive, but I'll be quite concise with the description, just enough to give you the visual, mental image and the senses.
And that's how I write as well. I like to basically paint a basic picture, but leave just enough for the mind to actually be able to have something to go with there, and not just sit there and to me, if you put so much description in something, I mean, you're losing track of where you're even going by the time you get done with what a room looked like or something. I don't care how the carpet fell or whatever. I mean, it definitely comes into where people use way too much description, in my opinion.
No, I constantly keep myself in check on that one, because sometimes it's easy to lose yourself in the description, and you find yourself writing too much. And I constantly sort of pull on the literary chain and remind myself, look, you don't need to talk about this. And I would just delete that off and say, I don't need to. Why am I talking about that? I don't need to. All I wanted to do with this was to give them an idea of what it's like. Now I can move on.
But I mean, the good thing about that is you do go back through your work. So I mean, if you did use too much, you can always go back rereading it and decide that you can kind of limit that down to where, okay, this was enough. This right here paints a very good picture. This right here went overboard, and you're able to go back and decipher what to take out at that point. So I mean, it's always good if you're, because I don't care who you are, if you're Stephen King, Clive Barker, or whoever, your first writing is a rough draft. Until you go back through it, I mean, you're never going to have anything completely solid. And I have not met anybody that's writing's really worth the shit that hasn't changed even the slightest bit after rereading through. I mean, I don't. I go through and change things all the time. Matter of fact, I printed out, one of my newest books, yesterday, and I'm going through right now and going and adding things here and taking things out there, and that's the only reason why it's not out right now. But so I mean, going overboard in the beginning's not so bad. It's those that don't go back and read through it and make those changes and just publish it out that way. But you were talking about sending it up to a publisher. Who do you publish through?
I was a small publishers called Stanhope Books. They were very small publishers. Obviously limited funds, but then it's a little bit more than what I had when I was self-publishing. Still, I get a few hours each day to work on my writing, because of my day job. So funds funds for marketing and promotion that were basically non-existent anyway. And so with my current publishers, when they approached me and explained the situation, I knew from the get-go what it was like because of with them shortly after they established themselves. And the good thing about it is you still feel kind of like being an independent, an indie writer, self-published, you still feel like you're in that indie author area, but you've got someone beside you've got an extra person who's got your back. So you've got someone to fall back on for extra advice and someone else to help push you along and get you. So I'm not having to do everything myself. So I don't have to worry about all the expenses with the printing and everything else. I've got someone to worry about that for me. But it's still, it's not huge publishers, it's not going anybody who are only interested in known names anyway. It's like a print on demand. They'll print as many copies as somebody needs, and they'll send them straight out without us or myself having to worry about the finer details. But they're definitely, it's nice because it's someone you know, someone you trust. It's because they're small, you know they can't mess you around because they're relying on you as much as you're relying on them.
Definitely. And I kind of got some questions kind of off of your answers there. What do you do for your normal job? And actually, does your normal job help with your creativity behind your writing?
I work for the local council for the day job, so it's not the greatest job in the world, and I'm sure they'll be glad to see that any of my work colleagues watch this. My manager will be quite glad to hear me say that publicly, but it pays the bills at the end of the day. It's not tended to have a major influence on what I write up until a little while ago. Most of the time I'd snatch your time for lunch break or whatever and write some notes up that have been, suddenly jumped into my head. That's where it was advantageous. But the last one was a short story that came out that I wrote for a friend's anthology. And that was directly, someone had said to me before, you should write, a story about a particular job and so like, that'd be really, it'd be really funny, be really freak and whatever. And I went, right, I'll have a look, and I thought about it and see how I go. Well, right, okay, I'm in my position. Right, horror story, what are you going to do? Well, you just place everybody's fears and say, right, I'll make them basically a serial killer. And, they're in an influential, protected position, but they're a killer. And so I I use that and the everyday things that I've come across or encounter at work and just put them directly into the story and just run with it. That's one particular one that actually my work did influence my work. Funny enough, it's a toned down version that appears in the anthology. It's not the full thing, the unrestricted one, if you like. The full explicit version is yet to see the light of day yet, but it will do if people want to read that story. It's in anthology by Kevin Hall.
Is that the one that's in 13?
2.
Yeah.
The horror continues, and you'll find it called The Caretaker. And with the toning down, it's still quite graphic, but the full unrequited version, it will make it debut at some point somewhere when I'll figure out the best time and place to do it, and that would be with no restrictions on it. It'd be the full bit that you'll get the full grossed out, uncomfortable scenes in there.
Yeah, that's the anthology that me and you both have a story in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so our first time was going to be nice. I thought, oh, that's excellent. So I was like, yeah, I've got to get that. I've actually got it. I'm waiting to get the paperback, but I think I've actually got it on Kindle at the moment. But I've not had a chance to read it, and I've not had a chance to read a lot of books at the moment. There's just no time to read too much at the moment. Been spending either all my time working or all my time sat in the office working, but on stuff I actually love to do.
Yeah.
Rob, real quick here, definitely want to know what book. Obviously, I'd like to order lots of your books, but if I was to order, or a fan was to order one book of yours, what book would you recommend? What's your favorite? I mean,
my first book, The Life Before Its Past, sort of young adults touched into horror, so it's just giving them a lead into it. So there's all bits of silly comedy, slapstick in there, which seems to have been quite popular with people. There's some section of people that seem to like that one. So for that, I would say, because it was my first, that one would be worth it. But if I was to press on my favourite, I think it would be The Grey's Anatomy, mainly because of the story in there, Friends Like Us. I spent probably the best part of 2-3 months solid just writing, just letting it come out, and I tend to go through very attached to that story, so it's kind of one of those stories that at the moment still sits as my baby, and I won't let anyone defile her, so to speak. It's one of those ones that's quite special because it just came out so easily, and I enjoyed the characters, every character, whether you liked the character or not. I enjoyed every single one of them, and that one's kind of special. So I'd say that one, for that Grey's Anatomy, would be one I would go with at the moment. Again, it's a story that seems to be quite popular. Those who've read the Grey's Anatomy, everybody seems to say something about Friends Like Us is one of the ones which is certainly one of the longest stories in it. It's about 30,000 words, and it's appeared in a short, a so-called book of short stories. That's one I would probably I'd like people to look at for that edition. But each story is quite unique, and applying different things, and just felt very different to everything that I'd read up until then. I'd read some great stories from zombie horror and things like that. But I think Clive Barker and Poe was somehow challenging themselves in there by adding little touches in those stories that reminded me of them. And it's like they were sort of saying, add this, this will make something different. You have something to offer someone for these, and I think that's why I'd give that one. I'd recommend that one, but I'll be happy if any people to buy any of my books, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm buying one of your books. I'm probably going to go with the Grey's Anatomy. Just that's one of the books that I've seen a lot of comments on here and there.
You get to see that fabulous backside on the cover. Okay. And you seem to have a comment about the backside on the cover.
Oh, we will not talk about covers. People, we're not
Well,
about covers. People are
ultimately, everybody always says not to judge a book by their cover, but they do.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's
the reason why when something's different. So we can't get much more different than somebody's backside. Full body on the cover, just go for it. And think, well, it's going to be different. As yet, so far, I've been through, God knows how many different parts of the country, and God knows how many different sections of the internet, and still not found a book with a cover quite like that one. So I think for its uniqueness, it tends to show up on Google, because I don't think Google knows what to make of it. It just goes, what the hell is this? So this is somebody but with paint print on the back. What the hell is going on here? Well, what's nice is it comes up when you type in the Grey's Anatomy. It comes up with next to the TV show. And the best one was I typed in just to see if there'd been any new reviews and things like that, just to see what was going on. And it threw up a picture of the Grey's Anatomy TV show, and one of the nurses is staring like that, sort of all half shocked and half terrified. And next to it, you just see this picture of my book, staring back at me with a big grey butt, just staring back at them. I'm like, yeah, that'll do me. If I could take a picture of those two together, I thought that was brilliant. It just made my day.
Well, I've got two questions for you. One, is there any, big authors really that really help you out?
I think in terms of big authors, I would say physically helping me out. I don't know about big authors. It depends on your outlook on how someone's perceived as being big authors. But people I say with influence, other than yourself, TJ. I think Nicholas Spitz, Tasha from Hellraiser, he's helped and influenced, and he's been, quite.
I mean, like sharing your stuff,
actually sharing my work. The biggest supporter and influence on sharing my work and that has got to be Gregory Norris. For those who might not be aware of Gregory Norris, he's our Tales from the Graveyard, and he's also he's written a couple of episodes of Star Trek Voyager in the past. So he's someone I think is probably my biggest supporter in terms of someone with influence within the book community, and he's someone I'll always be appreciative because he's just such a lovely, kind-hearted individual. He's always, praising me. People, someone with with his kind of background and accomplishments, it's just very pleasing to hear and very humbling, to have someone who's got that kind of influence and reputation to say, this guy's good. He said some things better than that, but I'd always say, look, I might be good, but I'm only as good as you want me, you think I am. But to have him say great things about me, that's I think probably the best thing I've had so far.
But also, I'm pretty sure it was your post that I saw. Uh, aren't you coming to the U.S. to do a book signing?
I wish. It's my dream to do a book signing in the US.
I could have swore.
Yeah. I'm still trying to do a book tour in the UK. I have probably, I think you could describe me as being in a niche market. I'm very niche. And I've got like a small, but very definite sort of following, if you like. As you'll see, a few people that you'll see on the threads where we've been talking on Facebook that show up and always said nice things. But yeah, I'm still looking for a book, so I'm doing an appearance next year. We're doing a local book festival. It's the Essex Author Extravaganza. So if anyone's in the Essex area of the UK, interested in seeing me, I'll be there next year. 2016, as you will see, I'll constantly share links for it because there's going to be some other fabulous authors there. But if there was enough of a demand and I had the money to come over, I would love to do even just a small book tour, a tiny book tour in the US. That would be amazing as far as I'm concerned.
Alright.
Sorry.
Well, and I mean, we're actually, me and SK Ballinger are actually putting together some kind of horror festivals that we're going to be doing. And I basically want to break it down to where it's going to be like one major, festival like per year. And as far as the state goes, that would change up. Maybe that's something that we could bring you in on.
If I've got the ability to be there at any time, I would be there like a shot. If I've got the funds and things like to get there, I'll be there like a shot. The biggest problem for me is obviously having any stockpile of books to put on the table, because small independent publishers, you don't tend to hold very large amount of books. You've only got maybe half a dozen at any given time. And it's difficult to amass that number of books without having problems like I did when I went to a book festival last year. We had problems with delivery companies and the printers. And it's those sort of situations that always kind of hold you back from being able to do certain tours like many authors are able to do, because they've got the ability to get large stockpiles of their work in. Whereas when you're a small independent author, you haven't got that ability to get the large stock of books. But I'm at the moment busy amassing slowly a box full of stuff to take with me to a tour, which is, well, I say tour, any appearances I might do, or someone might invite me to, if they're stupid or man enough to invite me. I'm not sure which you two in classes I'll take, but since you've given me an invite, maybe one of the two, I guess. But I'll just, amassing things like that, so in place of being able to offer many books, I'm amassing little things to people to buy or as freebies, I've been amassing little handmade keyring things for people just as mainly as a thank you to people that have already bought my books or anything. And also for their support, but again, it's another way of getting people into your work, and if they see that you're prepared to go a little extra way just to say thank you to someone, they're more likely to come and just say, well, I'll see what his work's like. They may like it, they may not, but at least they've got something, and if you've at least got some sort of relationship with somebody else. You might tend to say, might not like your work, but they might advise a friend, pass through to a friend and say, oh, check them out, they're up your street, so at least you might gain another follower that way,
And hopefully, doing this podcast will, bring you some more likes as well. I know I actually put your author page on my website as well.
That's brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if it's actually helped you out at all or whatever, but
Good up there.
Oh yeah.
More than what I had, so it certainly worked to that extent.
And I'm all about indie authors and trying to help push pretty much any author out there. I mean, of course, I'm not going to go and try to push Clive Barker or any of them. They really don't need my help. They're already very well established.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, that's one of the things with me is I'm willing to help out any author that I feel is willing to kind of push it forward as well. So I mean, I've seen you share multiple things. You've shared multiple of my books and links and stuff as well. So I mean, I definitely thank you for that because that helps out more than most people knows.
Well, I've always been since the beginning. When I first got somebody sharing something I've done, I was very touched and appreciative of that, and you don't forget that. First time someone says to someone else, check this out, it's good. Even if it's just said it's quite good or whatever. The first time someone shares and advises other people to check your work out, it's an amazing and humbling feeling, and I was very appreciative of that, and it's one of those things that spurs you on to say, well, I'm in a position to do that myself, but if there are people reading my work, then it gives me a little more influence. And so I'm always about sharing people's work. If I see someone's got something unique, and as you'll see on my page, I've got a background of horror and ghost stories and what have you, but if I think someone's got something unique to offer, I'll share it. I don't care whether it's a horror, whether it's a romance or a war book. I mean, I've written a war book without actually having taken part in any wars. I mean, my one's set in World War II, so I'm not exactly in the front line of knowledge of World War II apart from watching a History Channel. But it seems like that when you notice something on a page or whatever, and you notice someone's got something new or different to offer, regardless of the genre, I'll share it because I know what it's like. They could be in a position where they've got plenty of finances, a really big publisher behind them, or whatever or not. But I think it's worth sharing. Whether I won't know unless I've really looked into it, but I'll share it anyway because it might not be something people notice. And I know what it's like when you're trying to get your work out there and nobody's looking, and for all intents and purposes, nobody cares. And so when someone shares your work, it's a fantastic feeling. I think, that's something I can give someone else, and it doesn't cost a penny. Just a click of the mouse, or a word of the mouth to say, "Oh, have you seen this?" And show someone on their phone, got your phone, and have you seen this? It sounds like something you'd like. It doesn't cost anything. Just press or a click of the mouse, and it can make a hell of a difference to someone. I know it certainly does to me. It just always brings a smile to my face when someone to share something I've got. It's like you can't really be anything but grateful for it.
I think that you are a very unique individual. I'm going to just throw it out there, Rob Shepard. I would definitely, yeah, I just ordered a book. I've never read any book of yours yet, but I'm anxious to. And with what you just said, I think gives a lot of light to other independent authors because it's very easy in the writing world. I think you might agree to just want to give up and just shallow yourself and just
Okay.
it's an easy thing. So I applaud you for sharing that with us because I think that's what people need to hear more of. Uh, uh, it is simple to just share or a mouse click and what have yous. Uh, so I'm just saying you inspired me to continue on with my journey in writing. So I just applaud you. That was a good question. That was a good answer. So or a good response.
I'm glad that you encouraged it. It's almost what the biggest part of, other than writing the work, the biggest part of being right is encouraging someone else. And I'll never not encourage someone. I don't care if, whatever you write, I don't care what the genre is that someone writes. It's all about encouragement. If I didn't have the encouragement that I've had from certain people over the years, I would have given up by now. I went through a very dark period. I've had a few very dark periods over the years. But in terms of writing, I went through a very dark period. And I just turned around to the work and I said, "That's it. I'm done. That's enough." I said, I'm don't call me right. Don't call me wrong. None of these things. I've had it. Done with it. The whole thing." And so I said, "No, I'm not going to accept that." So I didn't marry you for money, for good luck, because I haven't got any anyway. But, and I didn't marry for being a writer. But if I wanted those things, then, I would be with you, would have married you then. I would have waited till you got these things. See, it's something, you could clearly see it was a passion, and other people have done the same thing. It's just, when you see someone's got a passion for something and you see that they're struggling, it's all the time, even if they're not struggling, it's those words to say, "You're doing great." And whether I read your books or not, you're a fellow author, and we all struggle, and we all need to look after each other. If we don't look after each other, then, what's the point? Because everybody can tear chunks out of each other, and you see so many different fields of work where people are vying for attention and are tearing strips off each other, and for what? Doesn't achieve anything. But in our business these days, especially in the climate it is, where it's so difficult to make any kind of living out of it, with all the changes with Kindle and all the electronic formats and you need to look after each other, you need to support each other because the worst thing in the world is to let people who've got a passion for something just give up on it. Because once you give up on your passion, there's nothing left for you because the one thing that you're passionate about is writing and you're not doing it, then it's just, it can only end bad as far as I'm concerned.
After all the interviews I've ever done, listened to, read, that is the best, I think, explanation I've ever heard behind that. That's got to be the best I've heard on that.
100%. I agree.
And I definitely agree with that. I mean, that's just like, even having like a dog. If it's a hunting dog and you take it away from being able to hunt, that it's not going to go on so well.
No.
So, well, we're about out of time. Do you wanna tell everybody how they can find you?
You can find me on Facebook. you can find me on the personal page, or you can find me on Bob Shepherd Alter. You can find me on Twitter. I mean, at Rob_Shepherd. I'm on Google Plus.
Amazon.
Sorry?
Amazon.
And obviously, I'm on Amazon, but all the pages up on Amazon. I've got bits and pieces up there. Check me out there. And yeah, I mean, I've got links to all sorts of things. I've got a YouTube page to say as well, once I get my video working and doing something, I can put some stuff up and there'll be something worth watching. At the moment, it's just a massive videos that I like and interested in that's up there, but hopefully I'll be able to clear that while top and put something of merit up there. But yeah, just catch me wherever you see me. Wherever you see the ugly face, go there and I'll be there always. As soon as I get a notification of something from someone, I'll have a look to see what it is, so find me.
Rob, it was really great for you to come on to the show, and I actually feel like I've learned quite a bit from all this. So definitely thank you for coming on.
No, thank you for having me.
I really appreciate you as well for joining this podcast. And I know time changes are different than UK and the US, what have you. So it means a lot. And I think that your inspiration towards not just me, but it will flow to other people as well. So I really appreciate you being on the podcast.
I appreciate you guys actually asking me to appear. So I'm very touched and humble, so thank you for having me.
Burn you to the ground, 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 burn you